strange way. So just like Randy said, it's coming from all these places. And then what Rae Carson says is that, I'll quote it, Palpatine had wanted Rey for himself, but she chose to be their conduit, their vessel. She was a Jedi. And so then you start to, again, get this richness of, it's not just her standing up and putting one lightsaber up and putting another one up and blocking it.
Right.
It really is when she says, and I am all the Jedi, and I see it right here, I am all the Jedi. And then you start to think, well, it's not just her pushing Force lightning back on the Emperor. It almost feels like all of the good, all of the Jedi are coming through and saying, we're done. The Emperor is no more. You've had enough. And but yeah, I just wanted to read that, from the book. It's just,
oh yeah, I'm so glad you did.
yeah. I almost fell into tears reading the part when the battle disappears and she sees a perfect sky, and that's a very powerful thing. And of course, all of us know that George Lucas taps into a lot of obviously this isn't written by him, but a lot of religious traditions, and there's a lot of the last battle in there. And
Right. You know what? That's it's so funny. So we're talking Chronicles of Narnia, right? When you mention the last battle, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, in fact,
Okay.
my daughter is reading it right now as she finishes up school this week. She's in the last battle. They've read through all the Chronicles of Narnia. So
That's something I wanted to bring up is in Magician's Nephew. There, of course, there's nothing new under the sun, right? But C.S. Lewis uses he actually says it's like a place between worlds, or a world between worlds, where there's different that Polly and Diggory, they put on the rings and then they go into this place. It's like it's like a kind of a forest with a bunch of pools, and each pool is a different reality. And I just read that, and I've read it a whole bunch of times, but I just read that a couple months ago, and it struck me. I'm like, why is it I've never made that connection before? If there's a place between places in Chronicles of Narnia as well, and that kind of fits in with the power of myth and Joseph Campbell and
definitely. Well, and I was listening to another podcast, and they were talking about what J.R.R. Tolkien's letters, and apparently there's, I don't know, it sounds like there's, is it 1,500 pages, some staggering amount of letters, and Dave Filoni has said if you read those, you'll understand what he's trying to do in Star Wars. And not a lot of people sit down and read them. Some have, but it's that, I think that, like you said, pulling on the mythology, just like C.S. Lewis and Tolkien, who are friends, who are really close friends there in the Inklings, that group, seeing that influence here. And maybe, like you said, there's just different ways of telling these epic mythological stories, so.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I was wondering if maybe, as we come towards the end here, we've been recording for a while, maybe not go too long, is right. I thought maybe, because Aaron's so good at guiding all this, and I thought, well, I'll help Aaron. Aaron does it so well, and it's not easy to do. Anybody try to jump on a podcast and direct this when there's so much data. So what I'm doing is I'm looking at all the notes that Randy and I put down, but I was wondering maybe what we could do is just maybe pick out 2 or 3 kind of, because I was looking at yours, Randy, you got some great ones in there. Just kind of these little jewels that Rae Carson puts in the novel, throughout the novel. And I'm looking at a bunch that I'd like to share. There's clearly just not enough time to go over all of them, but do you want to throw out 1 or 2, and I could throw out 1 or 2, and
I want to throw out the other one, besides the World Between Worlds, the other reason that it's you guys that I wanted to talk to, and what's going to kill me right now is that, Aaron, I'm not sure if you're here at this point yet, but I'm going to say it, and it's going to break my heart. But so you're taking one for the team for the good of the podcast here. But at the very end, and if you listen to the audio, it's worth the price of admission because you get to hear all the voices. But at the very end, when the Resistance, when all the ships show up, Mark Thompson actually adds all of the call-outs from the Ghost, from Alphabet Squad, a squadron, to Kaz is in there, like there, and yeah, man, it's so good. It's so good. And if you are out there and you have not read the book or listened to the audiobook, I would, to me, that was worth it. Just to hear all of those, and there's more, and I don't want to go any further because I just kind of threw a couple out there for you because you guys have done such a great job in breaking down the animated series, all of them. But there's more for you to discover, Aaron, when you get to that part. But man, it is so cool and so awesome, and I'm so sorry right now.
Well, I know. I'm looking at the pages where it is announced when the fleet shows up, and there was a bunch of them. And when I saw this, I'm like, this is exactly what Randy was talking about.
Yeah.
And in fact, in my notes, I don't know if you saw it, Aaron, I have a little note here. It says Resistance Gets Its Due, Chapter 17, pages 224 and 225. So that's exactly what Randy was talking about. So I had a big smile on my face, and I'm like, yep, I know that. It felt so good to see that. And I already loved Rae Carson for this, but when she did that and put it in, I thought, you know what, not only is she beyond cool, but then it really starts to show how, whether it's the Mandalorian on TV, animated series, novels, she did her homework and pulled this all together, which was kind of like JJ trying to pull it all together. Here's Rae Carson trying to pull it all together in this novel. And yeah, like Randy said, there's a list.
There's more. And so it's not all spoiled for you, Aaron. It's totally, there's still lots of inspiration for you to finish that up. And so, man.
Well, David, you said it was on sale for $3 digitally. I think I'm going to have to download that right now.
Yeah, Star Wars. Was it Star Wars Books? The Twitter feed for Del Rey Books. So I think it was yesterday. The ebook of the Rise of Skywalker is on sale for $3.99, I think. So right there, and like Randy said, I've been trying to, and I told Aaron, I'm trying to make the transition over to audio. I really liked how Mark Thompson did Resistance Reborn. That is not easy to do. All those different voices. So now I'm curious to hear how we did Rise of Skywalker. I did want to buy the physical form of Rise of Skywalker because I wanted to finish out, because I have The Force Awakens and Last Jedi in hardcover. But yeah, no.
I think I could probably add to that a little bit in that I think that somebody might read that or hear us kind of talking about it and saying, "Oh, gee whiz." That's just fan service, and I know you guys know me well enough to where I'm an easy sell when it comes to Star Wars, and I really don't care. Like I'm pretty prideless about that. Like, I'm a fan, and if you want to provide a nugget in there that would just make me excited about the rest of my fandom and not just this movie or this particular moment, but which was awesome in itself, but if you're going to provide some fan service, go for it. And I know I was standing by my fence. I had my headphones in. I was taking the trash out, and I heard it. And I'm like, I'm talking to the guys about that, and I'll never forget that, because I thought I was basically, oh well, that I was wondering how that was going to be handled. How are you going to explain all of those ships, and all of that, and to have the performance and to have those characters represented was really special.
Yeah, that was incredible. Let me let me throw one out there.
Okay, go for it.
All right, here's a little nugget, and we'll see what my two Star Wars brothers think of this one. So here's chapter 12, and I'm actually looking at the notes, and I'm opening my book. Chapter 12, page 149 and 150. So here we go. This was interesting when Rae talks, Rae Carson. I guess we have too many Rays here. So here it is. 149. In the show notes, which Aaron posts, you'll be able to see all this.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah.
So I wrote down, so Snoke didn't create Force time, right? That's what everyone was calling it in The Last Jedi. And so it says here, the Jedi apprentice still lives, the Emperor said. Kylo was in a corridor of the Steadfast, but he was speaking with Emperor Palpatine, whose power was even more vast than Kylo had realized. Only Rey had been powerful enough to communicate over long distances like this. Or maybe it was their strange connection that was powerful. Not even Snoke had been able to do it. Now, so again, we're told in The Last Jedi, even Snoke says at the end, he says, I'm the one who brought you together to do this. So again, I guess the view of Snoke is that he is a clone. The Emperor created him. So I thought, I guess wording wise, maybe it was Palpatine that did the Force time via Snoke, or is it not really Palpatine doing it, although it's showing here in the novel that he can do it as well? Is it more truly, again, revealing that the reason why they could Force time and not die was because they were a dyad, right?
Yeah. Wow.
Anyway,
I
don't know if this is just like Randy said, and I've heard many podcasters talk about this. They clearly did not have a plan through 7, 8, 9. 3 different directors. You needed one to go through the whole thing. Probably JJ. He did one. Got a next director in, and then it was going to be Colin Trevorrow for the third one. Leia dies. Well, Carrie Fisher dies, and I think most of Trevorrow's work was going to be focused or written around her to a certain degree and being part of it. So then they switched back to JJ, and how much I've heard every Star Wars fan have an opinion. How much is The Rise of Skywalker a correction to stuff in The Last Jedi? How much of it's not? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But I guess I think I'm still a little confused on Snoke. I mean, we do see him in the pickle jars at the beginning, so, right? He's in there, and I don't know. I guess he was not the one to do it. So it's either Palpatine or Rey and Kylo doing it themselves. So that was one little nugget there. I know that Randy and I both put the same one down. I don't know if Randy, if you want to touch base on this, it was, I thought so good, was Kylo interrogating Chewie, which we do not see in the movie.
Right. And I thought that was there's 2 scenes having to do with Chewie and Kylo in the book, and one of them was Lando stepping onto the Falcon for the first time. He was compelled. He couldn't help himself to look at a holodisc that Chewie had in his quarters, and it was a picture of him and Ben, a very, very young Ben, kind of playing. And there's a couple really cool, like, kind of tender moments there where even in the midst of an interrogation, that Chewie's motivation and Chewie's inner thoughts were still exposed, that he still had this love and still was bound by that life debt, and still lived it out, which was really cool and very honorable and very Chewie, very true to character.
Yeah. It's interesting here. On page 118 and 119, you see Kylo interrogating him, and he even taunts Chewie and says, "Kill me. I'm unarmed. Now's your chance. Have revenge for Han Solo." And Chewie's not going to do it. He knows Ben as a young boy, and it was it Kylo starts to see into Chewie's memory.